So, BlueLock Season 2 was recently announced for October of this year, following a successful Season 1. Besides raking in the money with manga sales and a movie, the second season was pretty much mandatory. As manga readers know, BlueLock really starts to get good with the arc Season 2 covers. It brings you from watching the anime on your couch, maybe with some popcorn in hand, to throwing the popcorn and jumping up and down instead at the sheer sight of a goal. And I know this sounds like anime TikTok or any anime social media right now. Just wait until the anime gets into this arc, and then the anime ends up disappointing. But BlueLock Season 2, if done right, could be one of the best sport anime seasons we've ever seen, and that's exactly why I'm gonna be listing what can make a perfect BlueLock Season 2. And then also listing exactly what could ruin this whole season, because there was a pretty good amount of things in the first season of BlueLock. So I made a long Christmas list of what I want to see, but I decided on 3 main factors that would make a satisfactory, maybe even perfect, BlueLock Season 2 before it eventually comes out in October. We have 2 objectives here: to talk about the 3 things that would make a perfect BlueLock Season 2, and to prove to G-Smoke that this is indeed it. By the way, if you're an anime only, don't worry, there won't be any spoilers for the majority of this, and I'll give a warning before we get into any of them. Whenever someone mentions the BlueLock anime, I feel like the first critique that's somehow programmed into every single person's mind to have the same critique is the animation. In fact, I think the animation for the majority of it was actually pretty good. It was watchable, and my expectations do not lie in having some UFO table Demon Slayer level of visuals. This is a video on what would make BlueLock Season 2 perfect, given what we have. So I'm not gonna say spend $1 bajillion on the animation to make every single frame look smooth. But we also don't want some of the best drawn panels in the manga to look like it was made in MS Paint. Season 1 kind of suffered from this, so for Season 2 specifically, I think they should highlight some of the more important moments, basically saving the budget for those important moments. In Season 1, there wasn't many visually appealing goals. We get some basic direct shots, some cool curve shots, maybe a midair shot somewhere in there. In Season 2, though, that is not the case. Some goals are just absolutely stunning, and unlike anything we've seen in Season 1, the goals have certain effects, auras, literal spirit animals. Don't be surprised if you see a Kung Fu Panda type of goal in Season 2. And it's not just the goals, there's many other, I guess you could call it, elements that make BlueLock BlueLock. For example, the specific auras for every specific character. We see Nagi's aura being that whole skull thing. I think that was done pretty well. We're getting a lot of new characters for Season 2, and some of the old characters have moments with their respective auras. I just hope they don't mess it up. I'm not gonna lie, we can rip off the band-aid right now and talk about Isagi's aura, which looks like he just came out of the dumpster. This was and has been a huge complaint for BlueLock Season 1 and just BlueLock in general. As much as I do understand why they switched it, man, Isagi looked 10 times better with the blue one. This downgrade is like Marvel movies going from Avengers Infinity War to Madam Web. Any big downgrade in the Hall of Fame of big downgrades can't compete against Isagi's aura turning from blue to green. With a bunch of new characters and a bunch of unseen auras, you just hope that they do it way more justice than Isagi's aura, especially because some of the auras, eyes, and stuff like that are some of the best parts of BlueLock, what makes BlueLock BlueLock, which is why I think it's almost a requirement to focus on those important parts rather than making crisp animation all around. The CGI is also a pretty big thing in the anime. This is what really gave BlueLock the bad rep for its animation. Yeah, I understand the CGI looks like Roblox, but I don't think there is really any way around it, and it's not even super noticeable unless you're nitpicking it as well. It is something we have to point out though, because we're talking about a perfect season for BlueLock, because there was 100 million memes about the CGI and specifically the walking animations. It does kind of suck because in Season 2, there's going to be a lot of moments where we have these overhead shots and players are moving all over the field. They'll be using the off-the-ball technique way more this season. The weapon Isagi stole from Naruhaya, where you go off the ball. Do I really need to explain this? So more players are going to be off the ball, moving into certain positions, especially when BlueLock turns into blue dialogue, and we get a whole explanation before a play starts up. Everyone's walking will be slowed down, so it's almost a guarantee that they'll use CGI for this. Again, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Lots of animes use it, and if there's no other way around it, there's no other way around. It doesn't matter to me about the CGI. I know that's been a huge complaint in BlueLock Season 1, but a perfect Season 2 just needs to do the good things right. It doesn't need to do everything right. Which is why one of my requirements should be that they focus more on the important stuff, like the goals, the auras, the eyes, specific hype moments that get you out of your chair. Another one for me on the Christmas list for a perfect BlueLock Season 2, and this kind of falls under the animation, is the literal background of the show. There was many moments in the anime where we got a blank white background for moments in the manga that wasn't a blank white background. It sounds really nitpicky, but there's a reason why I'm pointing it out here, and that's because in the U20 match that was announced at the end of season 1, it takes place during the night. So going from season 1, which had a lot of bright lights in the facility, to a darker background with floodlights on, it's kind of a drastic change that may be hard to pull off. You might need all hands on deck to animate it. They could very well just skip out on the dark background nighttime animation and pretend it never happened. I kind of bring this up because another anime, that being My Hero, suffered from the same fate. My Hero was a victim to the boogeyman who haunts animes with bright daytime backgrounds. All the fans, including myself, thought it was during the nighttime just to get it during the daytime. It really didn't change much, but the mood or seriousness wasn't there. For BlueLock Season 2 specifically, it kind of captures the whole mood for the match. You know, their careers are at stake with this match, like said at the end of the show. So if it was all just bright lights in your face like they're fighting in the Soul Society, it really ruins the mood. I doubt that they would miss something as crucial as the match being played during nighttime, but again, we've seen them mess up backgrounds before. If season 2 were perfect, I think this is kind of a requirement. Getting back to the animation though, the studio hasn't changed. It's still 8-bit, and it's been about a year since season 2 was in production, which seems like a short amount of time, but I think normal 12 episode seasons do usually only take a year. And by the way, we'll discuss whether season 2 will be 12 episodes or 24 episodes in a second, because this arc is one of the longest arcs that we've seen. I think people are a little scared that it only took a year to make season 2. There is a lot of content which I obviously can't say due to spoilers, but just for measurement sakes, the first 12 episodes of the anime took 38 chapters. Season 2 is expected to cover 56 chapters, which is 18 more in the same amount of time if they did 12 episodes. It is really important to discuss this because pacing might become an issue. I mean, they're doing way more chapters in the same amount of time. At the end of the day, I will say though, I have high hopes for the animation even on a quote-unquote shorter time schedule. I know everyone complains about the animation. That's literally all I hear in the comment section, but I don't think it's that bad. Like I said at the start, I'd rather they focus on the more important parts, like the goals and auras, and making those perfect, because certain goals and certain moments can and will 100% go viral on TikTok, Twitter, social media, stuff like that. So you want to make sure it's going viral for the good reasons, good animation, and not for being bad. Another thing is, if you didn't know, season 1 was a little rushed out due to the 2022 World Cup. That's why there was a fall off in animation towards the end of the season. It does make sense. I think this is the correct decision. BlueLock went viral alongside Japan's run in the World Cup. I don't think it would have been as popular without it, but this time around, there was no World Cup to rush out another season for, so now it's a double-edged sword. Some people think it's good that they're releasing it this early and that we're getting a season this quickly, but then the other side is, if they have all this time, why not wait and make the animation perfect instead of doing it in a year again? Stop talking about the animation though and talk about one thing BlueLock does absolutely right, and that is the voice acting and OSTs. I think they have it absolutely spot on with this. This is the perfect sausage roll. I don't even know any analogies for this because this is just perfect. The one thing people can all agree on for BlueLock is that the anime has an amazing voice acting and OST cast. Season 1 already had a stacked cast. I think everyone had an almost perfect casting, and with Shido having Gojo's voice actor, everyone else having voice actors that absolutely fit their characters, like you'd literally expect them to talk like that when reading the manga. The voice acting in BlueLock is just absolutely perfect, and I think it will stay that way for season 2. Don't need to change much here. I will say there are certain lines that can literally make the anime go viral, so I hope they don't censor it or botch it up. OSTs, I think, are another thing BlueLock does absolutely perfectly. They have really good timing with their OSTs. What I mean by this is they know when to play it at certain times, and then there'll be certain pauses when it's needed. I think Isagi's game-winning goal against Team B is the prime example of this. They had this OST going on, stopped it to build tension, and then Isagi started screaming. Yeah, that had me in tears, bro. Absolutely beautiful goal. So we could pretty much be guaranteed for good voice acting and good OSTs. I did just want to point out how good it is, because that means we're one step in the right direction towards a perfect BlueLock season 2. Unless the composers get infected with tone deafness and the voice actors get sore throats every time they try to record, we can expect it to be damn near perfect. The third and final thing I want to cover that can make a perfect BlueLock season 2 is how long the anime is going to be. We obviously want to expect how long the season is going to be. I think this is crucial to knowing if season 2 is perfect or not. It relates a lot to pacing, animation fall-offs, and stuff like that. And what exactly are they going to cover this season? There is an arc before the U20 game, so is season 2 just going to be that arc before the match, or are they going to cover the U20 game as well? If there was any comparison I can give, the next arc before the U20 game is like the Hashira training arc we're getting for Demon Slayer. Before Demon Slayer released its current season, people said they were just going to combine the Hashira training arc since it has has like 8 chapters, with the next Demon Slayer arc, which is a big arc. This is kind of the exact same case for BlueLock, but with 14 chapters instead of 8. So are they going to combine it into one singular season, or are they going to make a whole separate season for it? Demon Slayer went the whole separate season route, adding in anime only scenes, since you can't have a whole anime season with just 8 chapters, and BlueLock could very much do the same with the 14 chapters it has. If you read the manga, you know that there's a lot of off-screen stuff, games, and training that are happening, and they could just make it into an anime only arc, kind of like how Demon Slayer is doing it. However, I don't think this is the case. I think BlueLock Season 2 will cover both the mini arc and then the main arc we're looking forward to, the U20 match, in just this season alone. The teaser shows Itoshi Sai, who was announced to play in specifically the U20 match. So why should they show him if they're not also doing the match? I believe this is the case, and I really hope it is, because I don't think BlueLock fans have the patience to sit through a whole season of this, of a pretty insignificant arc, like how Demon Slayer fans are. So now that we know the arcs that Season 2 will cover, now do we think it's going to be a 24-episode season or a 12-episode season? It is kind of hard to discuss this without going into spoilers, so your warning is now for the anime onlys. My channel is also on the BlueLock manga, so most of you guys are probably from that. So like I said earlier, from where we ended off Season 1, the announcement of the U20 match, that was Chapter 94. If it covers to the end of the U20 arc, that will be around 56 chapters, and this is also considering the fact that they're not showing the whole Kunigami and the wildcard stuff. That is around 10 chapters more than the first 12-episode season. So are they going to make it a little bit longer with a 24-episode season, or are they going to go with 12 episodes? The answer is a pretty obvious one. They'll go with the 12-episode season instead. I think they'll do it exactly like this: 4 episodes for third selection and the flow state explanation, and then 8 episodes for the rest of the U20 arc. I think 8 episodes would be enough to adapt the rest of the game. I think BlueLock Season 2 will end in 3 ways, in my opinion. One of them being a perfect way to end the season, the whole point of this video. Ending 1 is after the U20 match is finished, Isagi says he leads Japan to victory. I think this is the least likely, however, it is how the chapter ends. The second way, I think, is with Kunigami walking out of the wild card. I think no matter what, this is the best way to end the second season, as well as the teaser for Kaiser. They're both teased in the same chapter as well. And the third way is somehow fit the day off chapter in an extra episode, or maybe the last episode, and then again with the Kaiser or Kunigami cliffhanger slash tease. I think that's still the perfect way to end off. I think this would be an absolutely perfect ending for Season 2 to build hype for the eventual Season 3, and also think the 3 things we covered, like the animation, the voice acting, the pacing, if done right, could create a very satisfactory, maybe even perfect BlueLock Season 2. This is kind of my first anime related video to BlueLock. I usually make manga related videos, so if you're interested in the manga, definitely check out some of those. If you made it to the end though, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Hiryo, and I'll see you guys next one.